For my dissertation, I have opted for a translation project entitled Il processo di traduzione inglese-italiano del testo medico per l'editoria, l'analisi del testo, la traduzione, le strategie impiegate. As it is possible to infer from its title, this project consists in an in-depth analysis of the chosen source text, the production of a target text, and the discussion of the translation strategies employed. The source text is a 6-chapter excerpt from the book Infertility, IVF and Miscarriage, The Simple Truth, A Guide for the General Public by Dr. Sean Watermayor. My choice of text was mainly driven by the fact that this is extremely interesting from a linguistic point of view. To be more specific, what led me to opt for this particular piece of work were the potential translation challenges posed by substantial differences in terms of styles, conventions, and register existing between Italian and English popular science texts, as well as my will to make a display of all of the technical knowledge I have gained during my translation studies. As far as the source text analysis is concerned, I started by accurately reading the source text so that to examine its main features, focusing on some of Nord's main intertextual factors, namely composition divided in macrostructure and microstructure, presuppositions, and cohesion. The first element I decided to analyze was macrostructure, and therefore communicative purpose, genre, readership, register, and style. The source text aims at describing how the female body works, at describing specific infertility treatment options, and at providing couples with information on how to conceive. It is therefore possible to state that the text in question has several communicative purposes and that it falls into the categories of descriptive, informative, and instructive. As far as genre is concerned, the text could be defined as a popular science book intended for the general public, which provides the readership with scientific information using familiar terminology and accessible language. As regards as register and style, the source text is quite informal and its tone is conversational. The microstructure of the text is characterized by numerous items aimed at facilitating comprehension and readability, but also by several features of technical writing, such as passive structures and acronyms. As far as cohesion is concerned, in the source text, this is achieved in various ways, both lexically and grammatically. Since, as Newmark points out, the translation process starts by choosing a method of approach which takes into account the source language, text level, the referential level, the cohesive level, and the level of naturalness, I established that the most effective tool to produce a high quality and efficient translation would have been the scopus theory, which focuses, above all, on the purpose of the translation. I therefore read the text again, noting down potential translation challenges and classifying them by type and level of complexity. This allowed me to make knowledgeable choices, which resulted in a linear and smooth translation process. After doing so, I have carried out an in-depth analysis of my target text and produced 21 annotations, examining most common categories of translation issues encountered. I have extracted such annotations in 5 parts. Part 1, titled Defining the type of translation issue being analyzed. Part 2, source text string being examined. Part 3, corresponding target text string with their page and no numbers. Part 4, translation issue detailed analysis, and Part 5, reasoning and translation theories employed to address and solve the issue in question. To conclude, for the assessment of the target text, I resorted to Ray's functional list model and therefore focus on the fulfillment of goals. Through the target text analysis, I was therefore able to identify weaknesses and strengths of my translation. Despite, on the one hand, I acknowledge that my translation effectively complies with relevant target language norms, on the other hand, I am aware that employed strategies resulted in inevitable translation losses. However, as I could point out, we should consider translation as negotiation, and namely as a process by virtue of which, in order to get something, each party renounces something else, and at the end, everybody feels satisfied, since one cannot have everything.